All right, so now I'm going to cut through both these layers. I've got my knife at an angle. And that way I've got this nice taper to connect there. Now, in the past, I've just kind of squished that together, and I found that I tend to get a little crack there if I don't score that. So I'm always careful to score the attachment point of my coils. I've seen people get away with not scoring there, and I marvel at that. Once I've gotten that seam attached, I'm just kind of pressing down. So I've got a damp sponge and just compressing down on that surface. All right, and now I'm going to take my serrated rib, dry, and I'm going to have my fingers supporting the backside, and I'm going to kind of grip this coil about halfway. If I look at this distance between on the foot, I'm going to start gripping about halfway on there and pull that down into this piece. So it'll create a little curve of the coil into the piece. And this will look messy for a moment, but I promise it will end up looking nice. All right, so now I'm just going around holding my serrated rib along this, just trying to smooth out this transition, because here I was, had this little rhythm of this going down, but I wanted to have this line be smooth. So I oftentimes like to use my serrated rib as a way to, kind of shape that clay there. And the banding wheel really comes in handy. That way I can kind of turn this very smoothly. So now I'm going to come back with my soft rib. I'm just cleaned it off on my sponge. And I'm going to hold this on that surface and start to smooth this out so I get that nice transition. At this point I really haven't added any water. I don't want this clay to be any wetter than it is here. I'm just kind of softening that edge. I've got a nice rounded surface. And then I'm going to use my serrated rib this time to put a mark on there. Once again, this is just another transition. I'm just using this as a texture tool at this point to create these little lines. And I'll also use a texture similar to this on the rim, so it'll be kind of referencing different parts of the pot. And that gives a little sharp edges, so I always come with a damp finger and kind of push those in. All right, now that this is set up to leather hard, it's kind of a soft leather hard, so this is still slightly pliable, but it's definitely firm enough that it's going to hold its form. So I'm going to dress the foot. I'm going to give this a little scalloped pattern on that foot, and I've found a really easy way to create an even scallop rather than cutting out each scallop individually. I actually created a little tool. This is what I call my little scallop tool, and literally all it is a piece of step flashing. So this is a roofing material that goes between like your shingles and maybe a chimney or something like that. And so this is actually, I've cut out part of this. This is super cheap. It's just pliable metal. And so I literally just cut a strip with regular scissors out of this step flashing and then just found something that was round. So, for instance, a Sharpie, and I pressed that metal around something that's round. So I've got all kinds of different shapes and sizes of these little scallop tools. And so I can have different gauges and different size scallops, then I know that they can be even. So I'm going to just take this and I'm going to press this into the surface. I'm going to have my finger behind it and I'm going just below this line here, and I'm going to press this all around the surface. And if it works out nicely and cooperates, I'll have a really fun reveal where I can peel off this whole strip in one piece, and you all will be very impressed with me. All right, but I'm just punching this in, and I'm just going to the next bottom of that scallop and pressing that in. That way I don't get like a little crisscross happening or anything like that where it could potentially invite a crack. And because this is nice and soft leather hard, so it's still soft enough that I can press into it, but it's dry enough that I'm not squishing that coil at all. So it's firm enough that it's holding that shape. So I'm going to go all the way around. And sometimes it works out perfectly, and other times, I'll have like a little bit of clay left over. Oh, I can already tell it's going to turn out perfectly. That makes me very happy. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this off, and it's very exciting. And I've got this lovely, cleanly cut scalloped foot. And I love that that's just a nice little detail on that bottom. It, just really changes that surface a lot. Then I'm just going to take a damp sponge and squeeze out all the way and just soften any of those sharp cut edges. I don't want anything blunt cut on that surface. But that, that's a very quick solution to have a, kind of a pretty fancy looking foot.